Mr. President, seeing that
Yes, sir.
that's the last issue under new business, I would like to add a non-agenda item with your discretion and permission. Today, I am circulating for the board's consideration a resolution to establish an anti-retaliation statement for the district. The purpose of this proposal is simple: to emphasize now and for future boards and administrations the basic principle that the school board is accountable to the district community and that we need input from our stakeholders, parents, students, staff, citizens, to do our job. Just as important, the resolution draws on a principle even more fundamental, that government, even here at the smallest form, should take no action that prevents or chills the desire of people or prevents them from speaking up about issues and concerns they have with the decisions that are being made on their behalf. In fact, this fundamental principle was so important that those men and women who founded our nation made it our first principle. So I'm going to share with the group today a resolution which has two parts. It has a preamble, and then the second page is a recommendation that I drafted personally for an anti-retaliation statement. Now, I'm not asking for a vote today, Mr. President. I want to submit this to my board colleagues for their consideration and comment. And of course, it's prudent for us to seek advice of counsel on the wording, the scope, and the process to make it official. And I encourage the board leadership to check with our counsel. In the end, I'm hopeful and very optimistic that my board teammates and the administration will support this. And just so we're clear, it's more than just a statement. It is intended to make clear that stakeholders will not be retaliated against for making good faith complaints, questioning a decision, or advocating for a course of action within the district. And if there's a failure to observe this rule, there ought to have the stiffest of consequences. Some may question why this is needed at all. And aren't these things already enshrined in our law? Others may correctly point out that James Madison hardly needs his work clarified or his principles expounded upon by a lowly trustee. But there are some principles that are so important that rather than be merely acknowledged, they should be restated over and over again. I was at Brooklands today, and I had the good fortune of being in the first grade classroom that led the Pledge of Allegiance. And I imagine they do that every day, just like they did it every day 36 years ago when I was in first grade. And I thought about that. I don't think that we're worried that those first graders, after they leave, will start planning sedition against the United States. It's a principle that we repeat over and over again as a way we should behave. And why? Well, because as Ben Franklin said as he was leaving Independence Hall, someone shouted out, Dr. Franklin, do we have a democracy or a monarchy? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. So I bring this with the best of faith. I will share it with my board colleagues, and I hope to bring it to a vote at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Mr. Patel. And on to communications, starting with Mr. Patel, the Secretary of the Board of Education.
Excuse me, Mr. President, I just want to clarify that we do have policies and procedures in place for amending and adding policy to our district and administrative rules. So I just want to thank Mr. Patel for bringing this forward, but also remind him and the community that we have a policy and curriculum committee that reviews our policy and curriculum, or policy and administrative procedures, I should say. So that is a process that's already in place, and we will take that under consideration within that committee and go through the process that we've approved.
Thank you. And I have a list. We'll go right down the list, beginning with Andrew Weaver.
Wow, so much good material to work with tonight. So I'm going to start with, again, it's fine that we all have certain things we agree on. Barb, I 100% agree with you. There are policies and procedures already in place to prevent some of the things that Joe brought up. I appreciate Joe, for the first time, having some confidence to speak to the truth, to what parents are seeing. But again, Barb, I agree with you. These policies and procedures do exist. We've just not held anyone accountable to adhere them. So, yes, 100%, we should not be creating policies and procedures that already exist for public consumption. We should just hold people accountable, which is why you should be terminating anyone that was involved in the actions that led to the lawsuit. That's also why each of you should be resigning, because that was your obligation and you gave it up. So, again, that is the stuff that the community has been talking about. And you just flat out said, they all exist. And you've chosen not to enforce them. And we're seeing it time and time again. So now when we move into the curriculum, we just found out that a retired RCS teacher was advocating buying books on Amazon that parents are questioning and giving them to teachers to use in their personal classroom so that they don't have to go through those processes to be approved. Where is the policy in that? Why is there not a standard being upheld? I had the principal of my kid's school tell me teachers can use whatever material they want in their personal classroom libraries. Adding the word personal to it does not make it their authority. There is standards in place. That is all anyone has asked for from the beginning of this. And everyone at this table has not taken their responsibility serious, and they have not met the standard. So yes, tonight, do what you're supposed to do, hold people accountable for those policies that, Barb, you just told us exist, that you know have been violated, and terminate contracts, and then resign. You have lost trust with the community. The smoke and mirrors is not going to work. We have sat here and listened till you guys tell us we won some fancy award for presentations on finance, but we cannot see a budget for the admin building, the new admin building. It cannot, can one of the 6 degreed accountants not produce that? Where is the expectations? Where are the standards? This is the stuff that the community is not glossing over anymore. The smoke and mirrors are done. So again, terminate the contracts of all those involved, resign, every single one of you. There's no way to move forward with leadership that is currently in place before we lose more good teachers. There's names on that retirement list and the people that left that people in this community know belong in the district. And you know why they're leaving. So if you want people that can do the right thing, it is time to stand up and hold people accountable, Barb, to those policies that you told us exist. Hold them accountable. And Scott, can you please tell us what the special event was for today? We would love to know what brought you home today.
Thank you. Next is